Hi, everyone. In today's version of Tuesday Thing, I am continuing with a blog post that I did last week, which was about changing to this audio format. And last week I talked about topics and how with these changes in technology and the ways that I am putting my ideas out onto the internet that I might write in a different style at different lengths and so on. This week, I'm talking about what changes we have in our culture and how my particular situation with having very low vision have collided and how I need to make changes so that I can function in the 21st century. Rather than talk off the cuff where I might meander and lose my way, the method I'm using now is something I've done for a long time, which is to use a Sharpie marker to write the text of my story, if it's a story I was reading in a writing group or whatever it is I'm going to transcribe. I tend to write in block letters that are about an inch and a half tall. I save all of the printed paper and receipts and things because, being the earth friendly type person, I scavenge up all of the recyclable paper that I can find at my own home from other people at workplaces and stuff like that. And I make pads of paper basically where I write on the back of it. And I write out what I need to type or record. So that's how I'm doing today's blog. I will see down the road what other means I might use to do it this way, because there's a fair amount of paper rattling and going from page to page and stuff. And plus, eventually, there just isn't going to be paper. Once I've used up my supplies of Goodwill printer paper and the recycling boxes are empty places, what's like that is newspaper. Used to be able to get newspaper everywhere, and now there aren't daily newspapers, which is a tragedy in its own its own right in terms of people being aware, but and having good quality journalism as opposed to people, well, but you used to have newspaper everywhere, and all your craft projects and Boy Scouts would come around and collect newspaper in, their wagons and sell it to the paper pulp place or something. And that never doesn't happen now. So if I need newspaper, I go to the little community paper stands, at the grocery store and get a copy or two of the suburban paper. And eventually that's going to go. So I'm trying to be realistic about where we're going in the 21st century. For today, I'm going to use the reading from my block text manuscript on the back of these printouts, and then we'll just see how it goes from there. I'm making peace with the use of adaptive technology, which I've had to do in earlier stages of life. You'd think that would make it easier, wouldn't you? With glasses on, I can see 2200 in my good eye, or I could at one time anyway. So I can see 1/10 as well as most sighted people. What others can see at 200 feet, I can see at 20 feet. A school bus is 40 feet long, so if 5 buses were parked nose to tail, and someone was holding a large sign that said "Hello" near the taillights of the last bus, other people could see that, but I would have to walk past the first, second, third, and fourth bus, then keep going to the exit door of the fifth bus before I could see that sign that says "Hello." I also have blind spots all over the place, distorted sense of color vision, and I don't have much in the way of depth perception. So my own mailbox and my neighbor's mailbox across the street look to me like they are standing next to each other. In the old analog world, I did almost everything without looking. My hearing and sense of touch are not especially better than other people's, but I suppose it's like the feet of people who need to use their toes like fingers because they don't have arms or they can't use their arms. Someone's feet get stronger and more flexible over time, and the brain and the neurological system adapt. Adapting is not my favorite thing, but as I've said, I've had to make some adjustments. When I could no longer read print comfortably, I went to talking books. When I could not cross busy intersections in the city, I learned to use a white cane. The digital age has been a boon in some ways. For instance, the Talking Book catalog is now online, and I can download the specialized files for my digital reader onto a thumb drive that can hold 50 or more books. But then there are the screens, the many, many screens, most of which are small or filled with little symbols, which are often color coded to make them global or accessible to those who aren't able to read. The screens so often pulse, and they are backlit or translucent in a way that my damaged optic nerves can't interpret. And often it's like a hellish version of the old TV game show Beat the Clock. If I don't instantly respond, my phone or computer will tell me they are doing something, and then they do it, and then I'm doomed. The biggest challenge these days is typing. I do touch type, having been taught by a crazy high school instructor who enjoyed rapping us across the knuckles with a ruler if he could catch us looking at the keys. But I am often filling in windows or information on the internet in a blog post within the blog post form on Google's Blogger site, for instance. A while ago, I used a cable to hook up a travel TV to my laptop, which helps me see what I'm typing, but it is a struggle. So I decided to move to audio. I have experience with recording some of my fiction in audiobook form and so on, but the days of dubbing cassette tapes is long past. I've set myself the task of making friends with apps and digital files and computer hardware. A long time ago, when people were first getting PCs for home use, I wrote a story about a woman in her 50s who realizes the writing she's done for years in a series of spiral notebooks will need to be transferred to a website because if something happens to her, her brother will clean out her apartment and toss all those years of work into a dumpster. While I am getting comfortable with the 21st century, I'm also changing what I write. And I wrote a little bit about these changes in what my topics are and the form of them last week. And at the end of this post, I will go back and link to last week's post, which could make sense more maybe if it goes forward from this week's post. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you next week.